Should elected officials be activists? I'm Liliana Young, and I'm running for the Indiana House of Representatives in District 61, covering our beautiful Bloomington, Indiana. And recently, while looking at the comment section on a Facebook post, I know, my mistake, I won't do it again, I promise. But I did come across one interesting observation from somebody that I actually thought was genuinely worth talking about. Somebody commented that they think that I am too focused on activism work to be qualified as an elected representative. They said we're looking for public servants, not activists, and that applies to anybody of any political party. And fundamentally, I think this displays a very real lack of understanding of a handful of things. First of all, this seems to show a lack of understanding that a person can be a public servant and an activist at the same time. In fact, I would argue that being an activist is, in and of itself, a form of public service. You are taking the time and energy required to put forth effected, actionable material change for something that you and other people in your community believe in. And I would argue that in its own way, that is a form of serving the public. But moving on from that, ultimately, I would argue that, yes, you absolutely do want your elected officials to be activists. Fundamentally, when you are looking for an elected official, you should be looking for somebody who actually represents the interests and people and the concerns of your community. And you also, I think, should be looking for somebody who is willing to, as they say, put your money where your mouth is. And that's exactly what I believe I have proven my willingness to do. Since before I was even running for state representative, I was serving as a city commissioner here in Bloomington on the Bloomington-Monroe County Human Rights Commission, where I have been very proud to serve our city through upholding our non-discrimination ordinance and pushing to expand city policy and programs to further elevate the scope of ways that we are protecting people from forms of discrimination here in the city. And I was also involved as a civilian activist here in the city for our LGBTQ community. And since I have been running for state representative, and I have had access to those campaign resources, I've been able to do even more things to benefit our community. Through November and December, I ran a food drive where I was able to gather 500 pounds of food from across the city that I donated to Mother Hubbard's Cupboard. I stood with the Indiana Avenue Starbucks Union as they were on strike. I was with them on their picket lines multiple times, and when I found out that because of their strike pay cut, that they were struggling to actually have a happy holiday season, because this was also December, I bought them and cooked them a holiday meal so that they could have something that resembled a decent Christmas. I used my campaign platform and resources to help further pressure on our city officials in the effort to cut the flock contract. We had that wonderful rally a few weeks ago outside of City Hall. I've been using my campaign to try and drag out that pressure campaign on our mayor and our city council to make them understand it was not just a one and done thing. I am also working to try and support the Bloomington Township trustee right now. I have a different video talking a little about what I'm doing with that. So I have 100% been consistent in using all of the resources at my disposal and all of the time that I have available to get up off my ass and work towards some kind of actionable material change for the better for things that I profess to believe in. And if I were not a political candidate, and if I were looking for somebody else to vote for, I would want to look for these exact same qualities in that person. I would want to vote for somebody who demonstrates a commitment to their community, not just in representing that community in some kind of governmental body, but also being part of that community and working to address real issues that occur in that community on the ground level, putting in the legwork, putting in the energy, taking the time, out of their busy day. And probably one of the great things about being a state representative is technically it's a part-time job, which means that if I am elected, I will have at least some time free to continue to pursue activist efforts, which, quite frankly, I'm a little disappointed that more sitting politicians don't do that, because they have the time and they have the money. And if we as working people who have full-time jobs and families and numerous other obligations and happenings in our lives, if we can find time out of our day to show up, to do the work, to rally and to protest and to organize and to engage in mutual aid efforts and to lobby with regional politicians for real policy changes, if we can do that, what excuse does a sitting representative with a part-time job have for not doing the same thing? I don't know. I just don't really see much of an excuse not to do it. And I see every reason to do it when it's something that matters. So, do we want public servants or activists? We want both. And we should have both. And I am both. That's why I think you should vote for me.